What's up, everyone? I'm 6 p.m. Eastern Time, SlabStox YouTube Live. I'm Aaron, one of your hosts, joined by Nate today. Once again, we got some football, NFL Week 1 discussion today. Of course, throughout the offseason with football, there's some preseason, some OTAs and whatnot, but not until really Week 1 do we get to see some real big movement in prices, some real exciting tweets and highlights, and of course, just enjoying the Sunday watching football. If you're not a Packers fan, that is, I did not enjoy my Sunday watching football. Did you?
On a scale of 1 to 10 of how much I disliked watching football on Sunday, it was a 10. But I then just reminded myself the Bucs won a championship.
Yep.
The Brewers are 34 games over 500.
Yep.
And if I have to endure the Packers being terrible for the sake of a Bucs championship and the Brewers being good, so be it. You can't have everything in life.
You can't. But I would like for the Packers to turn it around, and let's see if we can win the NBA championship, World Series, and Super Bowl in 1 year.
Yeah, I could handle that.
I could too, after not seeing a championship since 2010. That'd be pretty insane. All right, let's hop in with today's little presentation. However, before that point, the Brewers did something this weekend that hasn't been done. What was it? 81, 82, somewhere in that range. Juan Nieves?
87.
87. Okay, as in the 80s.
Good guess.
Close enough. Nate, give us the breakdown of the big no-hitter for the Brewers. Finally.
So if you've been paying attention to the Brewers this season, and if you've been paying attention to what Craig Counsell, the Brewers manager, has been saying, it was a when, not an if, the Brewers throw a no-hitter. And the Brewers finally threw a no-hitter. Now, it wasn't a no-hitter in the sense of one pitcher, one no-hitter, because Corbin Burns had 115 pitches through 8 innings, and the Brewers are trying to win a World Series, so they're not going to throw one of their best pitchers out there, their best pitcher actually, for 130-plus pitches this close to the postseason when he didn't throw that many innings last year.
And that was a season high for him, I believe.
That was a season high by a long shot.
Not career high, though?
I don't know about that, but like 102 pitches would have been a season high.
Oh.
So, Josh Hader came in after his 8 hitless innings, scoreless innings too, 14 strikeouts, and picked up 2 strikeouts of his own to finish off the no-hitter. The first no-hitter in my lifetime, the first no-hitter in Aaron's lifetime, and the first no-hitter since Juan Nieves in 1987 for the Brewers. The only team that has a longer streak for not having thrown a no-hitter is
the Marlins.
The Cleveland Indians.
Oh.
Who we know hit. And what's crazy about that is think about all the Indians pitchers that have had Cy Young awards in the last 20 years.
Well, Kluber won one.
Corey Kluber. Yeah. Just last year, Shane Bieber.
Yeah.
Cliff Lee. CC Sabathia.
Wow.
All of those guys won Cy Young awards with the Indians, and yet not a single one of them threw a no-hitter with the Indians. CC Sabathia, of course, was one trash error call or hit call instead of an error call away from throwing a no-hitter back in 2008 for the Pirates. I mean, not for the Pirates. Against the Pirates for the Brewers. So that was fun, and the Brewers are 34 games over 500, which is beautiful, which makes up for
34?
The Packers.
That's so wild. 34 games over 500. I can't believe I have all those awesome years in like the last 4 years of Brewers baseball. This is the best team. When you don't have like a good offensive juggernaut MVP type of guy because the pitching staff is so good and all the offense is just so balanced.
The issue is you have 3 guys that could be contending for a Cy Young award, which doesn't usually happen, and you've got 2 guys behind him that are
like way better than other 4 and 5s.
So both Eric Lauer and Adrian Hauser have thrown over 100 innings, and Lauer has a 3.10 ERA and Hauser has a 3.25 ERA. Like, those are guys that have thrown, I think Hauser's probably thrown like 125 innings. I should look that up. But those are 2 guys that combine for probably 225 innings and have 127 innings for Hauser and just over 100 innings, I believe, for Lauer. And they both combined for under a 3.20 ERA.
Ridiculous.
Insane.
Robert, yeah, that'd be amazing if the Brewers, Brewers World Series and Bucks championship in the same year would kill me. Robert, that'd be so awesome. Hey, what's up? Oh, Robert, the other Robert. How we doing? Magic, how's it going? Global sports car investor, good to see you. CC Sabathia for sure in the Hall of Fame, Robert says. And then N. Goss says, I wanted the Red Sox to play the Brewers in 2018 in the World Series, and we concur. We also wanted that. But enough of the Brewers. And that's 5 minutes of talking about the Brewers, but we have to. No hitter. Come on. We are moving on to week 1 hot takes for the NFL season. There's a lot of hot takes we had from yesterday because there are some big performances. There are some super disappointing performances, one of which was the Packers. I would say the Bills are also somewhere in that realm. But let's see what Nate's got in store for us. So, Nate, we got some random stats up here on the screen, or at least it is to me. And whenever you are ready, let's hear about this.
We will. One quick thing.
Oh boy. Okay.
So last year, the Brewers trade for Luis Urias and Eric Lauer, right?
Yep.
And people like their hot takes. And they say after the first year, that was the worst trade in the history of baseball for David Stearns, and that he lost this trade, and it was the worst thing he's ever done.
Trent Grisham was the other player.
Trent
Did you
Grisham.
say that?
Did I say that?
I'm not sure if you did.
Trent Grisham, Zach Davies for Eric Lauer, Luis Urias. Trent Grisham and Yu Darvish, because Zach Davies was traded for Yu Darvish, combine for 4.4 wins above replacement. Eric Lauer and Luis Urias combined for 4.3
this year.
But Eric Lauer has only thrown 101 innings.
How many has Yu Darvish thrown?
Yu Darvish has thrown 146. So you assume that there would be a little bit more on there if he had thrown more innings.
Plus, isn't there like a trending up, trending down thing going on here?
Yes.
Okay.
And so Luis Urias and Eric Lauer are both trending up. Yu Darvish, on the other hand, trending down. And so my point is that a lot of times people like to overreact to what has just happened. And we can see after a 2 years in that the trade is a lot closer than what people expected. And we have a ton more control over these two guys. And so remember that we're going to get into the NFL season and people are going to overreact hugely game by game, especially because it's a 16-game season. You know, people overreact in baseball
17-game now
on a 60-game season last year, and now they can't overreact because it's more of a
I remember
trade.
that.
So remember that. But we get into football here because there was obviously the first day of football.
What's up, Bazooka Tom?
And we have 3 stat lines here, Aaron. I'm looking at it on my screen too because it's a little far away. And it's okay because I can still see the comment section here if you want to. If you don't have to do that if you don't want. So the first guy, and this is 3 games, not a year, right? 3 games, 256 yards, 4 touchdowns, 127.5 passer rating. And then the next game was 326 yards, 6 touchdowns, 154.
That's nice.
And the next game was 314 yards, 3 touchdowns, 115.
Sure.
So that's player number 1.
Yep.
Player number 2, and everyone, whoever. Now I'm going to stop stroking my beard. Whoever is in the comment section, please comment if you can figure out who these guys are too. I did not tell Aaron who these guys are.
Are you not going to tell us about when these weeks were from, these stats?
Nope.
Okay.
Player number 2, 3 weeks. Presume that all of these weeks, I can tell you this, all of these weeks are the start of a season.
Okay.
The first 3 weeks in the season. Player number 2, 324 yards, 5 touchdowns, 158. 272 yards, 2 touchdowns, a 104, and then 267 yards and a 70.6 passer rating, no touchdowns, a little bit of a dud of a game.
Yes.
Player number 3, 312 yards, 2 touchdowns, a 104.6, 415 yards, 4 touchdowns, a 146.7, and 311 yards, 4 touchdowns, and a 128.9 with 1 interception in there.
Okay.
So the question is, who are these guys?
Well, if it's a trick question, it's all the same player, 3 different seasons.
It's not a trick question.
Okay, not a trick question.
Every single guy is individual. It's an individual, each guy.
Okay.
And I can tell you that they're all 3 separate years.
This all happened 3 separate years.
Yeah. None of these seasons happen in the same year.
Oh, boy. Okay. Well, I'm looking at the 12 attempts for 120 yards in the middle. Sorry, the rushing stats. It's got to be someone who obviously likes to run the ball, but the 3 for 6 is a little interesting. Top guy only has 5 attempts. The top one seems like it would be like an Aaron Rodgers type of deal going on there. You know, 27 to 30 attempts. He never really throws it like 50 times a game. I'm going with Aaron Rodgers with number 1. I'm gonna go with and year. I couldn't tell you which year. Maybe 2 years ago. Maybe last year in his dominant year. Probably not 2 years ago. Number 2, 16 attempts for 120 yards. I'm going to go with Lamar Jackson from 2 years ago as MVP season. I think he had like a 5-touchdown opening game, I feel. And then number 3, I'm going to go with like Josh Allen from last year.
All right, you got 2 out of the 3.
Really?
So the second one was Lamar Jackson.
Oh, nice.
In his MVP season.
Oh, wow.
The third one was Josh Allen in what would have been his MVP season if Aaron Rodgers didn't
exist.
So
it was last year.
Yeah. And number 1
Tom Brady from this year
was Patrick Mahomes.
I was going to say one game.
Patrick Mahomes from 2018. So you've got 2018, 2019, and 2020.
Okay.
2018, Patrick Mahomes wins MVP.
Yeah.
2019, Lamar Jackson wins MVP. 2020, Josh Allen would have won MVP if not for Aaron Rodgers, and it was an MVP-worthy season.
Yeah.
What do all of them have in common? Absolutely blistering starts.
And just kidding. I was going to say second year of their quarterback. That's impossible for Josh Allen.
Well, Josh Allen was third year.
Yeah.
The other 2 were also both second years.
Yeah.
But absolutely blistering starts. And if you would have bought in and sold right away off of the first start, which they all had good first starts, there was money to be, made, but not as much money as if you just held on and waited out the season. Yeah. And that brings me up to the next slide.
Here we go. I like where this is going.
Which is Kyler Murray's. So he's in his third year like Josh Allen. Obviously, Josh Allen did not win MVP, but he was close. It took a absolutely historic season from Aaron Rodgers to stop him from winning MVP. But here are Kyler Murray's stats. 65% completion percentage, 289 yards, 4 touchdowns, an interception, 20 yards rushing, and a touchdown. So 5 total touchdowns, a pick. Now, a week by week, like week 1 doesn't really matter as much as week 6 or it doesn't matter more than week 6 or week 8 or whatever.
Yeah.
And like just going off of 1 week, that is a huge overreaction.
But that's what the show's all about today.
It is. But that being said, each of the last 3 MVPs or runner-up MVP in Josh Allen's case, and each of the last 3 guys who's had their markets explode, they all had really good weeks in the first 3 weeks. And if you would have sold, you wouldn't have gained as much money. So for Kyler Murray, I'm looking at it. He was absolutely dominant. This Tennessee team was a playoff team last year. They went far in the playoffs.
Big expectations.
They went to the AFC Championship game.
Yeah.
They were a very good team, and they obliterated them. And not only did Kyler Murray obliterate them, but Chandler Jones obliterated them. 5 sacks. I'm sure that has a lot to do with TJ Watt being on JJ Watt being on that line now. But I do find it interesting that, there's correlation between the guys who had their markets go up and how they started their season. And now Kyler Murray could be the next in line for second, third year guy that finally puts it all together and explodes. And while his prices shot up yesterday, they might not be.
Speaking about shooting up,
high enough.
So we got his 2019 Prism Silver Rookie Auto PSA 10. A buy it now is hit of this card for $3,500 after his big performance. And the previous sale of this card was an eBay auction that is August 30th for $2,425, which is good for a 40% increase in price. But if I had the chart here, I don't. We made a post on our Instagram page where his market has really tanked since the start of last year. Like it tanked hard to really its lowest point in the last year, and it hadn't recovered until week 1 here finally. So people were either holding on strong or really not buying in all in on Kyler Murray throughout the offseason. Do you think it's because of them quarterbacks are coming up with the 2020 class? Herbert, Joe Burrow.
I'm sure it's a 5 quarterback class in each class, right? There's 10 new faces in the NFL from 2 different classes. Now, the thing is, in the AFC, there is Joe Burrow, there is Justin Herbert, there is Trevor Lawrence, right?
Lamar Jackson,
Patrick Mahomes, Baker Mayfield.
You say Josh Allen already?
Josh Allen, right? The list is pretty deep. You even have, that third-tier guy like Derek Carr, who he's an okay quarterback.
Healthy Wentz.
Ryan Tannehill's an okay quarterback. A healthy Wentz, I'm not ready to go there.
No,
but
I'm just saying.
You have young guys like Tua,
right,
who can show flashes. And so you have an absolutely stacked quarterback league in the AFC. On the other side, you have an old Aaron Rodgers, you have an older Tom Brady, you have a like 32, 33-year-old Russell Wilson, and then who's after that? You know?
Yeah.
And so on that side, you have then a wide open spot for the guys like Kyler Murray, who don't really have to compete against a ton to make it to the playoffs and maybe make a run, depending on how things break their way. Whereas it's way harder for a Justin Herbert to even make the playoffs, considering how deep and how good the AFC is and his own division with Patrick Mahomes in it.
Yeah.
So a couple weeks ago on our Vover podcast, I said, I would go in on Kyler over any of these AFC quarterbacks. Oh, and Joe Burrow. I didn't say anything about Joe Burrow.
He had a great week one too.
And there's just so many AFC quarterbacks, whereas there's not as many NFC quarterbacks. So if I was a gambling man or a betting man, I'd bet on Kyler Murray all day because of his team having less to deal with than all of these other AFC quarterbacks. Like there's some of these AFC quarterbacks aren't going to make the playoffs for years, depending on who you buy into, because there's just too many good ones.
Yeah.
There's just too many good ones. And so if you went at it from that perspective, and just thought about, hey, who has the easier path
to actually making the playoffs and going far?
Kyler Murray.
And people love winning with quarterbacks too. There's not too many quarterbacks that can go years and years and years without winning or making the playoffs and still hold their value. I will add in, if you are in the Kyler Murray perspective market, I know Nate just shared a lot of stuff with the first 3 week stats of the other guys that won MVP, and this is a good start for Kyler Murray. Of course, this particular card shot up 40% in value. I would be very careful buying maybe like the higher population stuff like today or yesterday. If there's a rare card, maybe printed like 199 or less, or pop like 100 or less, and you want to buy it because you think he's a great hold for the rest of the season and maybe even the next 3 years, 5 years, if you're a huge long-term Kyler Murray fan, it might be worth pulling the trigger if you don't think you can find another card like that. But if it is, let's say like a Prism-based PSA 10, for example, I have a feeling that within the next 4 days, the sales of that specific card will be lower than they were yesterday or this morning.
Yeah, that's fair.
And that I just want to make sure people don't just go and hit all the buy it nows for all the PSA 10 Prism Kyler Murrays, and then they start to a little bit drop in price because there's a lot of them out there. But something like this autographed PSA 10 silver, much easier for people that have the card, that like Kyler Murray, to not sell it for cheap and not undercut each other, because there's just not that many available, especially for $3,500.
Also, I forgot about Dak, so thank you for bringing that up on the side. Dak is another quarterback Kyler Murray would have to compete with, but it's less than the AFC side. And also,
it's the Cowboys.
Dak or Kyler, you got to remember that while there is the Dallas market, there is also the fact that there is a man named Mike McCarthy on the Dallas sidelines. And if there's anything I've learned about Mike McCarthy, it's that he's inept at coaching in the NFL, because you watched what the Packers did in the first 2 seasons of LaFleur, and that was coming off of basically the exact same team that Mike McCarthy had.
Yeah, 2-13 in 3 years, although the first year felt more like 9-7.
Yeah,
versus 13-3. Let's see here. Henry Lee, Burrow, Herbert, Tua, Hurts. Whose card's value will increase the most by week 8? I'm not able to make a call on that. Nate, do you have any call on Burrow, Herbert, Tua, or Hurts?
Well, Hurts has already increased like 100% on like Prism base.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go with Hurts.
Well, okay, how about from today?
Oh, from today?
Yeah, from today.
Burrow looked pretty good yesterday. I did get to watch some of that game, the Bengals-Vikings, because it was actually on in Wisconsin. I did not get to watch Herbert. I didn't get to watch Tua, and I didn't get to watch Hurts, though I did look up some stuff. Tua actually didn't really have that great of a game. I'm still going to go Burrow or Hurts just because Herbert's so expensive.
That is very true. I think Burrow had an awesome game. All right, moving on to our next player, Aaron Rodgers.
Aaron Rodgers. All right. So what we're going to do is we have a number of quarterbacks. We're going to talk about them, right? And so Aaron Rodgers. Whoa.
That's terrible.
So you can see the prices here. September 12th, PSA 10, Topps PSA 10, $810 plus $10 shipping. So $820. September 10th, 2 days previous, $865. So a loss of $45 all in. Maybe some of that's just the timing. It ended on September 12th. Maybe it's actually the game.
I mean, sometimes $40 plus or minus on a sale can just be
$860 card, whatever. But this was the last sale. So bear with me. That being said, Aaron Rodgers was atrocious.
Give us the stats.
So on the day, Aaron Rodgers, 15 for 28, 53.5%, 5% completion percentage or 50% completion percentage. 133 yards, 0 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, a 36.8 quarterback rating, took a sack. Just atrocious. And he had, at one point, it was 3rd and 7. We just handed it off to A.J. Dillon. He grabbed us some yards. It was 3rd and 7. And we're on our own 12-yard line.
Yeah.
And Aaron Rodgers just arm punted a ball 15 yards past the wide receiver right into the open arms of the cornerback for his second interception of the game. And the first one was him almost getting sacked and just flipping it out there and just throwing an absolutely ugly interception in the red zone instead of just taking the sack and kicking the field goal. Now, it wouldn't have helped us because
we got obliterated.
Joe Barry is probably going to be one of the worst defensive coordinators we've ever had.
Did we fire Mike Pennon? Or did he just leave?
We didn't re-sign him. So Joe Barry, fun fact, I know I'm going off on a tangent here. Joe Barry was the defensive coordinator of the 07-08 Lions.
Yeah.
2007 and 2008 Lions.
Is that 0-16 year?
2008 Lions were 0-16. Joe Barry was also the defensive coordinator for the 15 and 16 Washington football team. And they had the 19th and 17th ranked defenses by points. He's never been on a good defense.
And we had a top 10 defense last year, right?
And no. And
that's what I heard on TV yesterday.
Maybe we did. I don't know.
Just regurgitating what they said.
I guess I'm just stuck on Kevin King being atrocious. That makes me feel like they weren't. But I don't think they were top 10, but I could be wrong. But Joe Barry is a bad coordinator, and we looked like a bad team getting blown out 38-3. Now, a lot of that was the offense couldn't move, so the defense was out there a lot, 86 degrees. So, it is what it is, but I'm not expecting much more from the Packers while Joe Barry is their defensive coordinator. But getting back to Aaron Rodgers, there's only 2 ways I think this goes. And it's one of 2 ways. Either Rodgers and the first teamers didn't get any playing time in the preseason, and they're a little rusty, and they're going to figure it out, and they're going to be good. Or Aaron Rodgers didn't get his way and get a trade, so he told him he'd come back. He got his guaranteed opt-out next year. He's making a lot of money. He got Randall Cobb, his buddy, back, and now he is just going to absolutely do whatever he wants out there and not care, and just be like, call it a wash on the season and just do whatever he wants. I'm hoping it's the first one. I'm hoping they're just a little bit rusty. But considering Aaron Rodgers has disowned his entire family and doesn't care about them, I wouldn't be shocked if he didn't care about anybody on the Packers, actually, and just did what he wanted instead of doing what is best for the rest of the players, because there's a lot of guys whose livelihoods depend on if they do well this year. And if Aaron Rodgers is overthrowing them, especially wide receivers, Marquez Valdez-Scantling, Aaron Lazard's of the world, not Devontae Adams.
Adam Lazard.
What did I call him?
Aaron Lazard.
Oh, he's going to mess with their future earnings if they're not good, because he's not good. And
well,
so
I'll tell you this much. I'm intrigued to see if he's awful this year, just like what we saw yesterday, but not as bad, but just not good. Middle of the pack quarterback. Is someone really going to trade a huge package for him?
No. Why would you?
Not to mention, just for the Packers' sake, and I don't know if this is because the players have so much pull or if the coaches are just stupid, but how do you not get those guys out on the field for even a drive in the preseason? One drive. One drive would have made.
All I know is I'm hoping that it was just they're rusty, because man, his body language. He's always been a bad body language guy. But he looks super, super uninterested in playing yesterday. And honestly, the way he looked, I was as uninterested in watching this 5th-rate product out on the field.
Yeah.
It was bad.
It was awful. I mean, I literally, by the time that we were down, like after that, this is like the second interception. I was just like, this is dumb. I don't even care anymore.
I was sitting there. The Vikings had lost or were about to lose when the game started.
Yeah, it's feeling good.
It was beautiful. The Lions are getting blown out, though they came back. It was 41-10 at one point, and then it ended up being like 41-33 or something like that. So the Lions did come back, but they lost. And you just knew the Bears were going to lose because they're atrocious. And so I was like, this is going to be beautiful. We're going to walk away with the division again. And then the Packers absolutely laid a dud.
Worst team of the week.
I don't know where you go from here. I still have hope, but maybe we give Jordan Love some more. Here's a hot take for you. Maybe we give Jordan Love some more time if Aaron Rodgers continues to be disinterested in playing. And we'll just have a very expensive bench warmer.
Yes, Bazooka Tom. I think the first 5 minutes of today's show, we rambled on about the Brewers and the no-hitters and no-hitter and whatnot. After the live stream was done, you should rewind it and watch Nate get very excited. Update here. Packers defense last season. So they were 15th in points allowed per game, but 7th in yards allowed per game. So yeah, around there. Yeah, not quite. I mean, not quite amazing, but they're up there. Better than yesterday. I'll tell you that much.
Were they only 7th in yards allowed per game because our special teams was so atrocious that they always gave up huge amounts of yards?
Dude,
think about it.
And the offense was like amazing last year
because
too.
Because the offense was amazing, so they were on the field a lot. So there's something to be said about the special teams giving up special teams tons of yards.
It was terrible last year, so bad. Hey, no worries, Bazooka Tom. Just want to let you know that it was on top of mind. After Rodgers, we move on to a previous NFC North quarterback that put on a show last night. Nate, give us the rundown here on Stafford.
So Matthew Stafford.
Wait. 1 second. Sorry, last thing about Aaron Rodgers is I did put in the title of today's video, is Aaron Rodgers done for? Just to be dramatic. And my thought here is really quickly, the amount of people in baseball are like just top 5 all-time type of offensive talents. I'm thinking like Cabrera or like Pujols or something.
Yeah, that end up being washed up by the time they're like 35.
Yes.
But Aaron Rodgers just showed last year that he had the best in the tank still.
He did. He did. I agree.
I'm not thinking he's
washed up. But let's just say that the season does not go as planned. It's not ideal. Are his cards a super buy after the season if they drop like that PSA 10 tops to like 550?
Yeah, I would say.
Okay.
I would say
that's my last thought on it, because I think that there's something to be said for maybe a buy opportunity, but who knows? Maybe you see like a Peyton Manning type of revival on a different team and win another Super Bowl or something. But
could happen.
Never know.
Probably will happen because Aaron Rodgers is terrible.
Also, J-Dub Retro said, LOL at the Packers fans that traveled to Jacksonville for the game. Imagine traveling to Jacksonville, sitting in 100-degree heat and just getting smacked like that. It'd be awful.
Not good.
No.
Tell you what was good, though, Matthew Stafford. So this offseason, obviously, Matthew Stafford wants to be traded. The Lions give him his wish. He was actually going to be traded to Carolina, and then he called his agent and the team and said, I don't want to be traded there. And they didn't have to not trade him, but they didn't. They could have gotten the 8th pick. And so then he gets traded to the Rams, which is a very good situation for him. I do kind of chuckle when people are like, Matthew Stafford's never had anything in his career, when he had arguably the second best wide receiver in the history of the NFL.
Megatron.
In Calvin Johnson.
Literally catches over like 3 dudes.
But that's neither here nor there. He hasn't had very good wide receivers or, team in general. Wide receivers have been fine. I don't want to disparage Kenny Galladay or Marvin Jones.
A little bit.
Golden Tate. They've been good, but the rest of the team's been really bad. And he now gets to go to a team with a great defense and some really good wide receivers. And yesterday just showed what you can do, Sean McVay can do with a good quarterback instead of Jared Goff and good wide receivers, because, third play of the game, he uncorks it 60-some yards to Van Jefferson for a touchdown. Rolling out left, stopping, planting, uncorking, touchdown. Van Jefferson did a little roll, got up, touchdown.
Imagine being in that stadium, your first home game ever with fans in there, and just 80 yards down the field right away.
And then he uncorked another one to Cooper Kupp, who was absolutely wide open. And I was reading an article that said that every quarterback in the NFL should make that throw, but it wasn't actually that easy because it was Matthew Stafford looking off the safety to get him to bite so that Cooper Kupp could be wide open. Is that true? Is it not true? I don't know. That being said, Matthew Stafford was an absolute beast yesterday. He's exactly what the Rams needed. Can we overreact and say he's going to be a
Top 5
game changer for them and bring them to the Super Bowl? I don't know about that. But is he a super tough dude that will probably try to play all 16 games, even if he's injured?
17.
And 17 games, that's going to take a while to get used to. And have better stats than Jared Goff? Likely. So I'm very curious to see how he does.
He's always put up huge numbers, too.
He has. He's been good. He just has been on bad teams, and now he's on a good team. And he was just uncorking bombs. He was uncorking things that Jared Goff would never have done. Sean McVay would never have allowed Jared Goff to throw, to do a couple of those throws, especially that first 60-yard bomb.
Yeah,
would never have happened.
I have a question: who's more likely to win an MVP, and not just this year but next year too, between Stafford, Lamar Jackson again, Justin Herbert, and that's it. Those three.
What point are you trying to get at?
I'm just curious.
Why or?
Well, no, I was just curious if we're sitting here today and looking at Matthew Stafford. He's obviously pretty far in his career, drafted in 2009. Other than this, potentially leading a team to a NFC Championship or Super, which would be huge for him, obviously. Is there real reason to pay up on some prices for him, given that he's in a good situation? Obviously, you should have been ahead of the curve and probably buy him right after he got traded, or maybe 2 months after he got traded. But is it how we're talking about Kyler Murray? Could be worth a buy right now.
Yeah,
Matthew Stafford, is it?
Well, I guess I'm more concerned about Lamar Jackson, Justin Herbert. How do they fit into this equation here? I'm just trying to understand where your headspace was.
I was trying to think of some quarterbacks that weren't Mahomes or Josh Allen that have a good chance to win MVP in the next 3 years.
Okay.
That's the only reason why I asked that. Because Mahomes, obviously, say Mahomes.
So obviously, Lamar Jackson probably has a good chance of winning MVP this year because if they're good, it's going to fall all on him because they have no running backs.
Yeah, we got a lot of people in here saying Lamar Jackson. The first 3 votes all go to Lamar.
Yeah, so literally everything that happens to them this year will fall on him because they do not have a running game. Le'Veon Bell is washed up, and he's washed up for a reason. It's not going to be going through Le'Veon Bell, right?
No.
So Lamar Jackson has a good chance. Justin Herbert, I just don't think he has a chance. To win an MVP this early.
Yeah, that's fair.
And that's mainly team-based. They beat the Washington football team by 4 points yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, if you go, let's just say 9-8, you're probably not winning an MVP. There's going to be guys who are putting up huge stats and putting up,
I was like, dude, 9-8's impossible. And I was like, oh, yeah, 17-game season. That's going to really mess with me for a while. So let's knock Justin Herbert out of this thing. Matthew Stafford has the significantly better team around him. And his path towards the Super Bowl, the Rams were a playoff team, and now they add a good QB.
Mm-hmm.
The rest of the teams...
And they made the Super Bowl with Jared Goff.
Yeah, the rest of the teams, on the other hand, Tampa Bay is still going to be strong, but we're one bad Kevin King play away from the Packers being in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
The Packers are probably worse. The Seahawks are probably worse, though they looked pretty good yesterday. That defensive front line, their defense could be pretty good. So maybe they are better, but you will never hear me say a good thing about the Seahawks.
Other than Russell Wilson.
So let's just put it that way. So Matthew Stafford has a pretty good shot at making the playoffs, making it far, and really reviving his career and people being like, oh, wait, yes, this guy is good. Matthew Stafford hasn't really had that moment yet where people are like, oh, this guy's good, we have to invest, and then loses it. I think that's his moment right now, even though he's older, whereas Lamar Jackson's already had that moment.
Yeah.
Right?
We talk about the cycle, how many times can a quarterback actually gain more value? Jimmy Garoppolo, even if Trey Lance wasn't there, never again are people buying into Jimmy G,
So, and if Matthew Stafford has had that moment, it's been a long time ago. People will have forgotten because this is a what have you done for me lately?
Just like Bryce Harper, almost, not to say the same exact situation, but
kind of.
Yeah.
But kind of. And so I guess it comes down to how much can Lamar Jackson do by himself because they don't have a running game compared to how much better this Rams team is with Matthew Stafford and what he can do with a fully functioning offense and defense, I think I would go 6-month investment. I think I would invest in Matthew Stafford. A couple year investment, I would invest in Lamar Jackson.
I got an interesting thing here as well. And I think that this matters so much when looking into cards to buy and invest in. And just, I mean, I don't want to make everything about the investment, obviously, because there's so much collecting in cards too. But just speaking purely from a supply and demand standpoint, 2009 sports cards is so different than 2018. In 2018, I could probably like count on like 6 hands the amount of releases that there were for 2018 football product. You go back to 2009 and the Topps Chrome, not printed very much. You know, the National Treasures, very little autographs in there, like no subsets for these guys, just the rookie patch autos. Contenders, way less printed. Like there's just like so many fewer options that if you can get into a 2009 Matthew Stafford, or like, I don't know if you want to go and pick some other guy from a different year, the path to making money on those is so much easier. Just like how we're looking right here with his Topps Chrome rookie autograph. So Nate, I don't know when that 9.5 sold for $13.89. Do you know when that 9.5 might have sold for $13.89? Was it prior to the season, I'm assuming? The one on top?
I didn't get that in the picture.
No, I don't think the date's in there, but I'm assuming that's prior to the season. If you just want to confirm, that'd be cool. The PSA 10 sold for $37.50 yesterday today on Monday, September 13th.
It was in like June.
Okay, so it's before the season.
Yeah.
And obviously a PSA 10 is going to sell for more than BGS 9.5. We all know that. But there's totally something to be said for the less supply of a given player, the less sets of a given player, the easier their prices go up or that their values increase if said player does well. And another guy that comes to mind for me, and I know I'm a huge Badger fan and I'm a huge Russell Wilson supporter, so take this for what you want. But like Russell Wilson, not many cards that people really, care about or buy and sell. His Topps Chrome is Contenders, and you can probably go and find like a couple more other than that. Maybe it's just Topps Gold paper, of 2012. There's just like not that much. Prism has now became a thing, obviously, for him. The 2012 Prism rookie, which is a big deal. But nothing like where you start counting on multiple hands, Prism, Select, Optic Contenders, NT, Immaculate, not to mention like all the other random releases too from 2018. So I kind of like sometimes pulling those guys that you think have a real shot to improve in a veteran sense who have earlier cards. I think it could work out really well.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at Wilson. Not myself. I'm not going to buy any, but like that's a guy I would look at.
And then just so everyone knows, Stafford yesterday, 20 for 26, a 77% completion percentage, 321 yards, 3 touchdowns, a 156.1 quarterback rating. Obviously, 158.3 is the highest you can get. So a great game from him in his first game as a Ram. One last thing I should say is that they were playing the Bears, and the Bears are a bad team. The Bears defense is now older, slower, not as good as they were 2-3 years ago. So how much of this is Matthew Stafford being good? How much of this is Matthew Stafford already knowing the Bears because he's played the Bears for a long time? And how much of this is the Bears being bad? We won't know. So try not to overreact to Matthew Stafford right away. And we'll go from there.
Yeah, Ricardo, please, they played the Bears. Great point. Nate and you think alike. And I think that that's the whole point of today's episode too with the hot takes. It's like, how can we look at different performances and see how we can overreact or not overreact? So like, obviously you want to bring up the good things, how good the performance is, but it's also very fair to say, 1 week or against the Bears at home for the first time, maybe super juiced up the team is and stuff.
Matthew Stafford was juiced up. You see him running around the field after his touchdown throws. Yeah. He looked like Brett Favre from the Super Bowl.
Yeah. So, I always think that if you're going to buy on the hype and the huge price increase isn't the best idea. But if you do so choose, there's certain circumstances where you can maybe reason to yourself. But don't let the reason be that we just talked about Matthew Stafford being amazing on Sunday. You make sure you believe in him for the rest of the season or for the next 2-3 years or whatever it might be.
And even better, make sure you go check his schedule. Don't go buy into a guy if he's playing the Kansas City Chiefs next week, if they're going to blow him out, right? Or if he's playing the number 1 defense in the league, maybe hold off and wait until after that week to buy in instead of buying that week. It's only a 17-game season. Got it right that time. And so week by week performances really matter in the NFL. And if you have a down week because you're playing the number one defense, that's probably a good time to buy afterwards if you really believe in them, not beforehand.
I mean, if the next 2005 Aaron Rodgers PSA 10 is going for like 700, and if someone actually believes that the Packers can turn around, and Rodgers himself too, that's the time to buy it, after they have a dud week. Young guy time.
Woo! Jalen Hurts. And Jalen Hurts is the youngest guy we talk about. I purposely stayed away from talking about any of the rookie quarterbacks, though they all threw touchdowns this week.
He had some interceptions too.
Every single Trey Lance got in there for a TD.
Zach Wilson
and Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence had some very nice throws and some very atrocious throws.
Mac Jones.
And Mac Jones also. So, they all and Justin Fields. I ran in for one.
I don't know.
Ran in for one, I believe. So they all had their time to shine. But we're not talking about them this week. So Jalen Hurts is the youngest quarterback we're talking about. And I'm going to tell you, I was not a big Jalen Hurts fan. I think maybe I could only choose one between him and Tua, and I'm a Tua ride or die. Probably because people are ready to give up on him after 10 games, despite having got a major injury in college the year before that. And so
if you don't want to know anything about Nate, or at least me too, impartial, is that when people give up on a guy that's actually really, really good, but just hasn't had the chance to prove it, that's the guy that Nate likes.
Yep. Like people gave up on Wander 1 month into the season and it killed me. So I was riding with him. People gave up on Vlad after 2 years. I'm riding with him,
Zion before he even played a game.
Zion before he played a game. I'd work in the card shop and everyone would be like, Zion's too fat, a bust. I'm like, at least let the dude play a stinking game first before you decide if he's a bust or not. Everyone. And it's going to happen with these rookie quarterbacks. One of these guys, Trevor Lawrence, did not have a very good game on Sunday. I bet you there are people coming out right now that are going to say, Trevor Lawrence, bust, so bad. Look at how bad he did in his first game as an NFL QB with a bad team around him. And kind of a weird coach because I kept hearing things about how he was like telling players to hydrate and hustle at practice when they're paid millions of dollars. I think they'll probably know how to hydrate and hustle by this point because you don't get to this point if you don't do either of those two things, right? And so then that was Tua. That was a tangent on Tua. But Jalen Hurts was an absolute stud on Sunday. So he threw for 264 yards, 27 for 35, a 77% completion percentage, 264 yards, 3 touchdowns, and also rushed for 62 yards on 7 attempts. He did fumble the ball once, didn't lose it. But Jalen Hurts' touchdowns, more so than getting 3 touchdowns, is what was impressive. So the one was a nice little fade to the corner of the end zone over between the safety and the cornerback to Devontae Smith. It was a very nice thrown ball. And it was a little pick play by Dallas Goedert there. And then the next one, Hurts escapes the pocket, rolls to his right, while on the run, threads the needle to Goedert for a touchdown. It was absolutely beautiful. And then the last one was a little wide receiver screen to Jalen Reagor. And a wide receiver screen for 20-yard touchdown isn't that impressive, but he was getting taken down at the ankles when he completed the pass. And so, he just did a couple things. A nice precision pass over the top, on the run precision pass, rolling out, and then also, getting tackled and still completing the pass for a touchdown. There was a number of things to like about Jalen Hurts yesterday, and it's exciting because the Falcons are not a good team, but they killed him, and they killed him convincingly, which is what you want to see. You don't want to see a team like the Falcons, losing 33-27 or something. They lost 33-6, which was really nice to see.
Speaking of, I just put a chat into the YouTube chat. Excited or not excited? I figured I didn't really know how else to do it. But if you are watching right now and you love football or have passion about Jalen Hurts or the Eagles or anything that has to do with quarterbacks or rookie cards, post in the chat right now if you are excited or not excited about Jalen Hurts, because I want to see what the pulse is on the market on Hurts. Because I will say, when you're opening 2020 football product, we opened a good amount of it last year. We did a lot of Mosaic. We did a lot of contenders.
Hit some big Hurts cards.
We did hit some huge Hurts cards. I was excited.
Hit the red zone.
The red zone auto, which was the biggest one. I was excited about hitting the Jalen Hurts cards, but I feel like more people would be like, give me that Burrow, give me the Herbert, because that's where the money was. And even Tua, I think more people were excited about. But is this a guy that we think can, because I know a lot of the gripe was you look at his completion percentage for last year, you're like, oh, it's awful, you know?
But you also look at the fact that he went into the Eagles team with like no momentum and gave him a spark.
No, I agree.
The guys looked like they wanted to play for him. So
I agree. And I mean, I like Hurts a lot. I love guys that just go out there and kind of play the game and get the wins and stuff. And he's exciting. And I see we got a few people saying that they're excited. Tua better. Teddy, is he going to be a game manager? He had a nice play this week. Did you see that play he had when the guy was rushing, he backed up?
I did not watch any of the Broncos. All right, Teddy, two gloves?
Yeah.
We're talking Teddy Bridgewater? Yeah. Okay, just making sure. I did not watch any Broncos-Giants game.
I saw a highlight when I was watching a different game, but I wouldn't have watched that game either.
No, that'd be atrocious. And, so we talk about it. This is an $80 ride. September 11th, PSA 10 sold on bids for $177.50. September 12th, sold on bids again, $255. I mean, $80. Rise in one day off of Hurts. He looked amazing. He looked really good. And I don't know. I'm excited about it. And I'm excited in the way they won. Again, the Falcons are not good, but there's a lot of teams like this that win, 33-24, right? 33-21. And they shut the Falcons down while also scoring. And it's nice to see. It's nice to see.
Really quick, there were some pretty big sales popping off yesterday for Hurts cards. So I just went on eBay and I sorted by PSA and BGS graded cards that sold for over $1,000. And since the 12th, which is yesterday, we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 total items that ended on eBay. They were over $1,000 for Jalen Hurts, one of which was a blockchain National Treasures, a logo shield 1 of 1 RPA BGS 9, which I'm going to get the price on here really quick, and we can see what that sold for. But I would say most of the chat so far looks like that they're excited about Jalen Hurts. Always when you can get a guy that's charismatic too, it doesn't hurt. It always helps.
Is Tony's talking about Jalen Hurts being likable?
Yeah.
Because he could be talking about Teddy Bridgewater. I hear that Teddy Bridgewater is like the nicest person in the NFL. I don't know if that's true. You hear that about a lot of guys.
I remember.
You don't hear that about, who you don't hear that about?
Aaron Rodgers.
Aaron Rodgers. You do not hear that about Aaron Rodgers.
You don't even hear Packers fans saying that he's a nice guy or leader.
I saw a funny tweet. So back in the day, and this is a little bit about football, a little bit about baseball. For those of you that don't know, Aaron Rodgers and Ryan Braun are the same age. They became stars in Wisconsin the same year. And they had a brief 12-8 partnership where they were making restaurants in Milwaukee.
I remember that.
And then Ryan Braun got busted for steroids, lied about it, got suspended. And then somebody tweeted out, somehow, some way, Ryan Braun is going to become the more likable of the two 8-12 partnerships in Wisconsin because Aaron Rodgers has burned all bridges in the state of Wisconsin and was bad. If you're good, if you burn bridges and you're good, you can be forgiven if you win a championship. If you burn bridges and you're bad, they'll kick you out the door real quick.
Very true. Well, I'm trying to find this sale that I mentioned, about that Hurts 1 of 1, but I'm struggling to find the actual price of it, so I won't be able to find it at this moment. But it's all for less than $20,000 if anyone's very curious in what I was mentioning. Magic. Nothing about Darnold. I know he played the Jets, but he got his revenge and looked good. Hey, I think Darnold, outside of like the 2020 rookies or, the Baker and the guys that already are kind of there, Darnold was the guy I was more excited about than anyone, I think, because for years we would go into a season and Sam Darnold would go up in price like crazy. You remember that? All those years that he was just exploding? And he's on the Jets, who are awful and never put anything around him. And now he's on the Panthers, who have DJ Moore, who is on my fantasy team, and I'm a fan of. And they also have, I don't know, well, obviously McCaffrey, but
Robbie Anderson.
There we go. So well, he used to play with him in New York. I think so, at least. And Darnold, I think it'll be interesting to see what he does with a different team. And he did beat the Jets, I think, by 3 yesterday. I don't know. 5. I don't know if his stats were out of this world or not.
24 for 35, 279 yards and a touchdown. Now, it's nice to see. It's nice to see that he did fine. It's nice to see that he won. But if we're talking about overreactions, I am not going to overreact to Sam Darnold playing the Jets. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's exciting to see him in a new situation where he has weapons and he has an actual competent football team around him.
Yeah.
Which the Jets are not. But until we actually see more consistency, we don't actually know if it was Sam Darnold or the Jets that were, the issue. I mean, we know the Jets were the issue, but it could be twofold.
And here we go. We got a Cowboys fan trading cards. Did I miss the Dak conversation? So no, you did not miss the Dak conversation, but I will say Nate is the one that picked the quarterbacks. I did not.
Also, in my defense, Dak played on
Thursday,
and I was just thinking about Sunday games. So sorry about that.
Dak was awesome. I will say I am a big fan of Dak. His mindset, his personality, and everything. It seems to be like, just from the outside looking, an extremely likable guy that works really hard. And I'm so happy that he's back and playing well. I'm not a huge Cowboys fan, but I'm a Dak fan.
I would be happier if the commissioner of our Dynasty League actually started up the league again, because one of us traded the commissioner, Kyle Rudolph, for Dak Prescott a number of years ago and had Dak as his Dynasty QB. But the commissioner didn't start up the Fantasy League 2 straight years. And if you're wondering who the commissioner is, he's sitting next to me.
Okay, first off, yes, I did not start up again. It's actually a lot of work to get the draft set up that Nate wasn't willing to do. But on the we did it for 5 or 6 years, so that's pretty good. I had Russell Wilson and Deshaun Watson, and I had no tight ends, and I needed a tight end badly. So I never played Dak because I had Wilson and Deshaun Watson. So I made the trade.
That's true. And then from there, because I'm a fantasy football genius.
Self-proclaimed fantasy football genius that doesn't even have a fantasy team this year.
It's true. Or last year. I traded Kyle Rudolph for Dak Prescott. I needed a tight end, and I went and took a flyer on a guy named
Rookie
at
the time.
2009,
18.
I can't remember.
Josh Allen. No,
tight end.
Oh, tight end. Sorry, I thought you were on quarterback. Oh, I can't remember.
49ers.
Oh, George Kittle.
Looks like a Greg to me. I always want to say Greg Kittle. But I took George Kittle, and I got Dak Prescott and George Kittle for Kyle Rudolph, the probably greatest trade in the history of the world.
That was good. Okay, to wrap up this Jalen Hurts conversation, look into further for this season or just ignore?
Oh, yeah. Here's where I'm at. A lot of times you can't just scout stats, right? Because it can be deceptive. It can be deceptive in baseball. It can be deceptive in football. It can be deceptive in basketball.
Especially when they're high.
Look at somebody like Colin Sexton.
I was literally just going to say that name.
Only one of the only guys on his team. Somebody has to score. He scores.
And they now the Cavs
don't even want it.
Yeah.
So stats can be deceptive. But what I will say is that how he got the touchdowns was impressive. There were some impressive throws there. And how his team beat the Falcons, a bad team, a very bad team, but they didn't let them score. They didn't let them score in garbage time. They held their foot to the gas the entire time. And if you have that, I don't think you're going to have any problems competing with good teams. Are the Eagles going to be good? I don't know. Will they be able to compete with good teams? I do think so. And that's all you can ask from a second-year quarterback like Jalen Hurts.
If I were to look into Jalen Hurts cards today, I'd be looking at his contenders on-card autographs, not the optic contenders, but the true contenders on-card autographs, because I have to imagine that silver PSA 10s from Prism sell for more than those, and I'd way rather have the on-card autograph than the silver Prism PSA 10.
A couple things here.
We are taking a lot of time.
Yeah. I'll go quick because then we'll get to James. What are your thoughts on Tua? Prices dropping, but I think I'm going to hold. You got to remember that the Patriots always have a good defense. They still won by 1. He wasn't amazing, but he was good enough to get them a win, which he was not last year. I don't think Tua last year would have won them this game. Tua this year is good enough to get them a win against the Patriots. So remember that. Remember that the defenses are probably going to get a little bit easier from this point going forward for the Dolphins, and their defense is amazing. So I'm cautiously optimistic about Tua.
We got Jameis Winston up next, who obviously ripped the Packers a new one yesterday, and his Topps Chrome 2015 PSA 10 doubled in price in 5 days, or just about doubled in price in 5 days. Overreaction or fair?
I mean, Jameis looked good. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk too much about it.
No.
So all I'm going to say about this, and then we should move on because I do not want to spend time on that Packer game, is that Jameis looked good yesterday. The Packers look bad. A lot of Jameis's success, I think, is from a tired defense that had to be on the field so much because the Packers offense was terrible. If the Packers offense was competent at all, Jameis does not have the game he's having because the defense is not tired and he doesn't have as many opportunities.
In my personal take here, this would be a clear case of sell the hype. You're doubling up on Jalen Hurts. Sorry, not Jalen Hurts. Jameis Winston, 5 days. Sell the hype.
Yep.
What do we got next? Oh, I threw this one in there for fun. Tyrod Taylor, starting quarterback for the Houston Texans, got them a W over the Jaguars, right? I think they won like 30-something.
Texans over the Jags. Yeah.
Beat the Jaguars, and I just love to put this one in there because there's always that quarterback who isn't a long-term franchise QB that gets named a starter for some reason or another, and people go to buy his cards. Now, I'm not saying that $40 on a Tyrod Taylor is like that crazy when it lasts over 26 on like June 29th, because that really isn't that crazy. I mean, the crazy stuff I'm thinking is like Kyle Allen going from $5 to $100, or Mason Rudolph going from like $10 to $200, like that type of stuff. But I just want to throw it in there because I think it was LJK Cards posting on a story that some people were like legitly saying that Tyrod Taylor will win comeback player of the year over a Dak or a Burrow or a McCaffrey or something. And I can't see it.
Unlikely he wins over McCaffrey. If McCaffrey's healthy, McCaffrey's winning that thing.
What about Dak, though? I'm taking Dak.
I'm taking McCaffrey. On to the last one, because there is a question: is the whole market just resigned to QB only cards now?
Yeah,
and not true. It's just by and large, if from watching the wide receiver running back market, it's like you sell early on because after a while they just drop naturally as people lose interest. Yep. But quarterbacks don't drop as much or drop at all like they do,
unless it's like your Kyle Allen or Mason Rudolph, like those type of guys.
Yeah.
But I threw this one in there because it's kind of spicy. It's a 2015 Prism Amari Cooper. This is the gold vinyl number .5 PSA 9 rookie card. This card sold on June 24th for $450, and a sale popped yesterday for $700 on September 12th. Of course, they played on Thursday night, and he was the top wide receiver scorer in fantasy. I'm not sure if it's across all leagues, but the one league I'm in, he was. And this card is super rare. Like, if this is a card of even a top 15 quarterback, this thing's probably like multi-thousands of dollars. But Amari Cooper, $700 for this card. I'm not one to go and buy wide receivers after a huge game when their prices double. I had a huge Devontae Adams collection when I was younger because they're so cheap. But I'm not sure about spending that much on a wide receiver. Although I will say that is a nasty card. The Prism Gold Vinyl 5. Very, very nice.
Talk about an investment I would not want to make. Sitting on $450 for 3 months.
They made good money.
Amari Cooper.
They made good money on that.
There's a lot of other guys I'd rather buy for $450 in the baseball market or in the football market than Amari Cooper.
Bro, I'm just saying they made good money on it.
That's a huge risk.
Oh, I'm not disagreeing with you also, though.
And not huge upside.
True. But it did take one game and they made $250 on it.
That's fair.
The next guy is Nick Chubb, the running back I selected. He's one of the top running backs of the week next to Joe Mixon. And it's hard to read. It's hard to read this market. And it's a good point that someone brought up about our quarterbacks, the only thing, that are sought after and whatnot. And, a non-graded camo 25 auto sold for $455 on August 25th. Well, last night after a big game, of course, people were expecting him to be good this year, so it wasn't like that surprising. This Blue Shimmer auto number 25, that's a first off the line exclusive. PSA 10 sold for $710. That is not really any rate of growth at all over that August 25th value for the non-graded camo. If anything, that's actually probably declined in comparative value. I mean, the camo might be a little bit more sought after because it's pulled out of a hobby box, I believe, versus the first off the line exclusive deal. But the Blue Shimmers are really cool. I do like those a lot. It just seems like that this is a certain thing where you might get people buying hype on fantasy football rankings, and then if they aren't that crazy about said player, it's hard to. And I will also put it this way: that 455 was a buy at our best offer. Just because one person paid 455 doesn't mean that everyone at auction would go in and pay 455 on it. Just hard to read a market like that.
Correct.
And then I just threw this in here at the end because we posted on Instagram. I was just going to shout out, if you do want to join the discussion on the Luka or Mahomes, I had my good friend Anthony Summertime Cards. He's like, hey, like, I want to see what the public's perspective is on Luka and Mahomes. Like, it might be a good idea for a post. If, which one would you rather have given their standing in their sport? There's a lot of people who are like, oh, Luka's the next thing in basketball. Mahomes is the current thing in football and also the next thing at the same time. I saw a lot of people are really passionate about Mahomes in that post, but also a lot of people are really on Luka because of the global market for basketball. So if you want to head over to Instagram to join that discussion after this live stream, feel free. There's probably a lot of comments going off on that right now at SlabStox on Instagram. What? Nothing? Okay. And then really quick, tomorrow, Tuesday, we are starting breaks at 2:30 p.m. Eastern time. I believe that is the plan. Either 3 p.m. Eastern time or 2:30 p.m. Eastern time. It might be a little bit early at 2:30. And we have got a case that was just listed last night. It is the guaranteed top 4 team in the 2021 Topps Chrome MLS hobby case. Now, this product is extremely important, much more than any other MLS set, because 1, it's the first Topps Chrome MLS ever. But 2, it has Ricardo Pepi's first Topps Chrome card in that set. And the non-auto orange 25 recently sold for almost $1,000, I want to say, but I know for sure that his autos out of 25 both sold for over $4,000, one on auction, one on buying our best offer. And it also has Caden Clark's rookie card in there, who moved to, I believe it was Leipzig and not Salzburg. I think he's at Leipzig in the Bundesliga now. And then also has Busio, who just moved over to La Liga. And then Paxton Aronson, who is the younger brother, very young, of Brendan Aronson, who I'm sure is soon going to be moving to Europe as well. So if you buy one of those spots in the case break for tomorrow, you're guaranteed to get one of those teams that has one of those guys. And Pepe's cards are super hot because he's now going to be the starting striker most likely going forward for the USA men's national team. He provided a huge spark against Honduras, and a lot of people are extremely excited about him. And we still have a few spots left in our basketball budget break, as well as a few spots left in the Topps Chrome Stadium Club hobby break. 2 budget break offerings for tomorrow. I want to make sure we're always catering to the high dollar and the budget friendly breaks too, because what's not to like about getting some budget-friendly cards? We're trying to make sports cards accessible for everyone is the goal here, the mission. So SlabStox.com/shop to jump in the breaks for tomorrow. We'll start around 2:33 p.m. Eastern time. And we just appreciate all your support. It means a lot, and it definitely keeps us going, doing all this stuff. We really do appreciate it. And that does run us up on the end of the live stream for today. So we didn't get to really, we were doing questions all throughout the stream. So that's what I like to say. But Nate, credit, nice job on the whole research and everything for today and bringing the football to the table. Week 1 of football is exciting. I hope you all enjoyed it. Nate, your biggest thing from week 1 that you saw, just to end today's live.
Aaron Rodgers sucks now. The Packers are going to tank, and I'm going to enjoy the rest of the Brewers season without having to worry about the Packers.
I like it. I hope that we win the division still, and I hope we don't win it at 9-8 because the rest of the division is terrible. Because then you're the NFC East.
Yep. So. And I'm just kidding. I don't actually think Aaron Rodgers stinks now, but I wouldn't put it past him for being a little bit of a diva and being, vengeful and just deciding to be bad.
Yeah. Yeah, he's never can really tell with him. He's one of those guys you really never know what's going on.
Yep.
And people like that are very tough to read.
Yep.
But that was it for now. Please come back next week on Monday at 6 p.m. Eastern time. We will have another live stream here on YouTube. And also we will have a special guest next week in the live stream. So we're really excited for that. So we hope you all show up to hear what he has to say about the sports card marketplace. And then also tomorrow, like I said, YouTube live, just same spot as right here for the SlabStox breaks at 2. Let's just call it 2:30 p.m. Eastern time for now. And I will see you all tomorrow there. So thank you all for coming to today's live stream. Enjoy Monday Night Football. And we will see you all in future live streams.
See you guys.